Okay, here's that same map we were looking at. First glance, when you look at this map, the thing that jumps out to you is how short this theme is and how long this theme is. These others look about fairly equal, but this one looks really short and this one looks really long. And that's one of the first things I said to this student was I said, wait a minute, why do you have how it affects sleep? Chronic fatigue syndrome affects a lot of things. So why did you take sleep, why did you put sleep in there? And why do you have so many resources under treatments? What we finally ended up doing with this student is we kept the introduction, the enigma, and the causes. We dumped the theme on sleep, and we broke the theme on treatments into two new themes. One was pharmacological treatments, and one was behavioral treatments. So that this last bit of resources, excuse me, got split into two themes, pharmacological and behavioral methods of treating the disease. And that's kind of what I'll look for. I'll look to see how the research is spread across the themes. I'll look to see if all the peer-reviewed research is spread across the themes. It's not all in one theme. I'll look to make sure you have enough information to really write. That's kind of what I look for. We have another example. This example is by Carol Kimbrough. Excuse me again. Carol was a student I had out in Grand Island. She gave me permission to use her stuff. Carol knew that she wanted to go on and get a PhD at the university. And she actually wrote a thesis for her master's program. She did not do the leading edge. So this was the literature review for her master's thesis. And so that's why hers is rather large. And she also went on to the university and used this as the basis for her dissertation. So that's why hers is so large. The reason I'm showing you hers is because it's another good example of how to do a literature map. Yours, again, will be much shorter. You'll have maybe 2 or 3 themes at most. Okay? She was doing the retirement and the psychological ramifications of retirement. And when she sat back and thought about what are the ideas in the research she was looking at, she came up with, was it forced or elective retirement? What were people's attitudes before they retired about retirement? What was their marital status? What was their health and their wealth like? And how had they planned for retirement? Now, when I got her matrices, and you can see again, she's got little stars for her peer-reviewed, I think, maybe she did, maybe on this one she didn't. But she's giving me all of her sources. She's using several sources that are more than once. But when you look at it, again, you see this phenomenon with one really long theme and a really short theme. And so when Carol and I sat down, I said, Carol, isn't wealth at least part of planning for retirement? And she said, well, yeah, it could be. Some of this planning had to do with children and parents and things like that, planning to take care of your responsibilities. And that's what I said, okay, here's what we want to do. Why don't we take this theme of health and wealth and split it into two? Health being physical and emotional, and wealth being financial, so that we can incorporate this planning information into health if it's physical or emotional, or wealth if it's financial. And that's what she did, and she got a much more evenly distributed literature review, and she ended up writing her paper on that. Okay? Now, you have to construct a map like this for me. You don't have to do it in these kinds of charts if you don't want to. When I do a literature map, I do it in this kind of a chart so that I can see how the research fits together. I think of it as sorting clothes in the closet, like you've got all these clothes on a hanger and you put all the shirts together and all the pants together and all the, whatever to get dresses together, whatever. All the dress clothes together with all the, work clothes or whatever. And you just kind of sort the closet. I kind of think of doing that with your research. You're kind of sorting it and hanging it in different categories. But if you want to do it in a Word document where you have the headings for the themes, and then you list the research, and then you have the next heading and the research, you can do that. I just want to get a visual representation of what your paper is going to look like, okay? Then what you'll do is, the next thing you'll do after that is you'll start to write the rough draft. We'll talk more specifically in the next video about the rough draft. There's already some stuff on the website about the rough draft. I'm going to do just a brief introduction to the rough draft today, but you should be finishing your research and getting your map done, and then begin thinking about the rough draft. So let's talk just a little bit about rough draft.